Hey, hello, what is up everybody? Welcome back. It's been a long week. I took the week off because we didn't have any Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I'm back. So after Bravo did us dirty and gave us a week-long break from any new episodes of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I am finally back, y'all. I am back. It is time for another Real Housewives of Beverly Hills review and recap. Let's break it all down. We are still in La Quinta. We're still in the desert. It is the night after that crazy dinner where Erika shared that insane car crash story, Tom cheating on her. It made zero sense. Zero sense. Watch my last review from the other week and we break it all down. Make it make sense, people. Make it make sense. After Erika and Crystal left for their hotel room the night before, Kyle, Rena, Dorit, Kathy, and Sutton, they all had a little too much fun. They let their hair down and they are feeling that hangover the next morning. But y'all, look at all of those freaking dishes. Sutton walks downstairs and goes, "Oh my God, look at all of these dishes."
I see dirty dishes.
And Rena goes, "Just look behind the dirty dishes."
You know what? I'm trying to just look beyond right now. Look beyond the dirty dishes.
Okay.
This spoke to my soul because I do not like a dirty kitchen. I do not like dirty dishes. Sutton, I see you, girl. I get it. So the night prior turned into a little bit of a dance party. Obviously, Kyle did some of her classic Kyle splits. I do enjoy seeing everybody be able just to let their hair down and have some fun. Because this season is very serious with everything going on with Erika. And I like how they blended the seriousness with the fun lightheartedness. I really wish that RHOBH would have done the same. Beverly Hills got it right. They gave us the serious moments, but we're also getting a good dose of laughter and fun and lightheartedness. You know what I'm saying? So while all the ladies are drinking their morning coffee, trying to become just a little bit human again, another story about Erika was dropped. Tom Girardi apparently was secretly hospitalized for a serious illness. So this article, Rena, they're all reading it, and it kind of made it seem like Tom was, meaning past tense, was hospitalized, but yet Erika didn't even mention any of that to the ladies the night prior. There's just a lot of things that are contradicting and not really making sense. And we're going to get into all of that in this review. So don't click out yet. There's a lot to break down. We're going to talk about all of it. Trust me. So now Dorit, Rena, Kyle, and Crystal all take some motorized bikes and they hit La Quinta for a morning ride. A morning bike ride. So now we all love Kathy Hilton, right? So I'm going to do some fun little segments throughout this review called Classic Kathy Moments. So here is the first Classic Kathy moment.
I didn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. It was so boiling. She had it at 76.
76, geez.
Oh,
Mine's at 68.
I had my fan going and the door open because I like it cold.
She did not sleep at all the night prior because Kyle keeps the temperature in the house set at 76 degrees in the desert. Y'all, I would literally melt. That's not okay. That is cruel and unusual punishment. 76? I'm a big believer in colder is better. And studies do show that you do sleep better when you keep the temperature at night cool. So I believe between 68 and 70 is a good solid temperature. Just saying, colder the better, plus add a fan. I will sleep like a damn baby. Trust and believe. So we got one classic Kathy moment. How about a back-to-back? Time for another classic Kathy moment. So while Kyle and everyone were out riding bikes, they stopped by a little coffee shop to get some breakfast, and Kathy calls Kyle requesting that Kyle bring her back a straw and chia seeds. Chia seeds.
Chia seeds.
Straw.
Can you bring me a straw and chia seeds?
I'll go get her. And chia seeds?
No, I can't get chia seeds. I can get you a straw.
I need them.
She is funny.
Kathy needs chia seeds for her morning smoothie and just expects Kyle to find a health and wellness grocery store just to pick up some healthy chia seeds. And in the Bravo after show, you can watch it on YouTube, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show, Kathy was explaining that in Beverly Hills, the gas stations there carry chia seeds and other healthy wellness types of foods. Of course, the 7-Elevens in Beverly Hills would carry chia seeds. Makes perfect sense. So Kyle's explaining to Rena and Dorit and everybody on this bike ride that Kathy is just used to having people do things for her because her last name is Hilton, for crying out loud. And Dorit did get it right. She said, if you don't need to be self-sufficient, why not just be Kathy Hilton?
If you don't need to be self-sufficient, why wouldn't you just be Kathy?
Exactly. If I could be Kathy Hilton for even just one single day, I would in a freaking heartbeat. Trust and believe. Like, Kathy is just used to having a man do everything for her, a person to do everything for her, a team to do everything for her, a driver, a cook, a assistant. Like, she just doesn't have to do anything. And that's the life I aspire to have. Just saying. She's rich but relatable all at the same damn time. Comment below, do you agree? Kyle, Rena, Dorit, and Crystal, they're now all talking about Erika's situation and how sad it is for, what she's going through. And Dorit says that she really hopes that someone is advising Erika that Tom isn't going to protect her anymore and that he is going to just take Erika down with him. Which, where's the lie? Kyle says that it broke her heart when Tom denied spousal support from Erika, and Rena goes, I don't think there's a penny to get. Exactly. The well has run dry. There is nothing there. And I think they're right. Tom isn't going to protect Erika, but it's a whole weird flip of the bitch thing. I don't get it. We're gonna break it all down. This whole episode gets a lot more crazy. So now let's talk about this crazy scene. Apparently, Erika has a house near Kyle's in La Quinta. However, she doesn't know where it is. She doesn't know the address because Tom never let her know what the address was. She's never seen it, and she's never even been in the house before. Kyle then says that she's never even seen Tom around the neighborhood, and Erika responds with this.
Yeah, but somebody has to be in this house.
Oh.
What, is the house gonna sit closed?
Is she implying what I think she's implying?
What, there's a whole nother family down here?
Oh, Lord mercy.
God damn.
I've already thought of all of it.
Like, this is my face when Erika said what she said. So this house down in La Quinta, Erika's implying that it may be home to another family entirely. Like, Tom has a secret family on the side, but yet he is so unwell and doesn't know what he's doing for the past 3 to 4 years, but yet can have an entire secret family in hiding. Make it make sense, people. Make it make sense. What is it? Is Tom so unwell and has no idea what he's doing? Or is he some mastermind hiding assets, hiding an entire family? What is it? What is it? Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Just kidding. Not adjourned. But Kathy has a very brilliant idea on how Erika can get the address to the home so she can go and see it for herself.
Well, just say I need security to open up my house. I haven't been here in a while and I forgot where it is. I travel and I have homes all over and I get confused.
And here is another classic Kathy moment. After she called requesting Kyle to bring her back straws for her smoothie, here she is with her under eye patches drinking that same smoothie with no straw. Dorit slipped the straws under Kathy's door. Kathy didn't see them and just walked right out of the room and stepped on the straws. Kathy, God love her. God love her. Seriously, she is just a... What is happening? Then Kyle brings up the story about Tom being hospitalized, and Erika responds with, yeah, I don't even know what that is. Sure, Erika, sure. You know damn well what's going on. I see you. So then we have a little bit of like a filler scene. The ladies are out playing croquet. And a fun fact about myself, I have played croquet as a kid. I am an expert croquet player. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I am proud to admit it too. We had a whole croquet kit when I was little. We set it up in our yard. It was great. We got very competitive. So yes, I am a croquet aficionado. Fun fact for the day about myself. So now after croquet, all the ladies are sitting around in the park chatting. Garcelle is en route to La Quinta, and they're all talking about whether or not Garcelle is following Rena on Instagram or not. And Rena says, like, I don't know if she's following me or not. And then Kyle in her confessional goes, I know because I checked. And she's not following you. So Garcelle is not following Rena. And Garcelle is also not following Kyle as well on Instagram. And this is my thoughts about anyone that is not following me on Instagram.
It's a shame not to follow me because I'm funny.
And if you aren't following me on Instagram, what are you waiting for? Follow me on Instagram. Right here is my little card. Just go and subscribe. It's a fun time over there. Trust and believe. So now we're back at Kyle's house. Garcelle finally arrives in a freaking hazmat suit. This bitch. Garcelle is me, though, taking all of the precautions with COVID. And this is what I love to see, y'all. The silliness. Garcelle coming into Kyle's house in a freaking full hazmat suit, waving a weird wand around, which I can only assume is a pretend COVID detector. It's just freaking silly. It's lighthearted. It's hilarious. I love to see it. It's just so stupid and fun. So then Crystal and Garcelle, they are over at the hotel catching up at Crystal's hotel room. Crystal's filling Garcelle in on everything that is going on. Crystal says that Erika has been wearing her heart on her sleeve and shares with Garcelle that Erika told everyone that Tom is cheating on her, which Garcelle responds with this.
What?
But here is a flashback moment that made me go, what?
When she was at my house, it was a different story. So no third party on his part.
Not that I know of.
When Erika was at Garcelle's, she told Garcelle that Tom wasn't cheating, quote, not that she knew of. The producers put in this flashback moment. Maybe this is why Garcelle is pushing Erika so hard later in this episode, because Garcelle can see right through all the crap and sees that all of these stories just really aren't adding up, and I'm really starting to see it as well. Like, nothing is really adding up, and things are starting to really contradict themselves, and it's really hard to, like, keep up with anything. So now we're gonna have a lovely dinner over in Erika's hotel room, which, y'all, this is not even a hotel room. It's like a hotel loft apartment. How in the world are you affording this hotel suite, Miss Girardi? Where are you getting all of your coins? It's getting a little annoying that you're in the middle of this, like, heavy lawsuit because your husband is stealing money, and you're over here flaunting all of this stuff on television. However, I read an article that says Real Housewives of Beverly Hills producers are prepared to turn over behind-the-scenes footage of Erika Jayne if asked by the courts amid ex-Tom Girardi's embezzlement scandal. It is going to get wild, guys. It's gonna get wild. So all of the ladies are sitting around the fireplace in Erika's hotel room, and Erika shares that her assistant is in the other room with her dog because Erika doesn't have any help anymore. Erika also shares that she had to learn to go into a bank in March, and she didn't even know how to make a deposit, and she never even had a debit card. Miss Independent, smart girl, self-sufficient, doesn't really seem like she was very self-sufficient at all. And correct me if I'm wrong, all throughout these seasons, she made it seem that she was a self-coined, self-sufficient girl. She was smart, she took care of herself. Well, clearly she didn't. Another contradicting story here. What is it? Were you some innocent fawn in the woods that didn't know how to take care of yourself? Or were you this smart, independent girl that, you know, was a dancer in Jersey and had to, like, take care of herself and knew how to fend for herself? Like, she was in her 20s. Like, didn't she say that she met Tom when she was, like, 28? What? What is happening? Am I living in an alternative universe right now? Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm watching and seeing all of these things and they're not adding up. And she also shared later in this little chat that everything was put on a credit card, but yet she says she didn't know how to use a debit card. Debit cards and credit cards are the same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're plastic and you swipe it. I don't get it. So over dinner, Kyle tells Erika that she Googled and found the address to the La Quinta home that Erika has down here. They even found a satellite view of this house and found out that the house was sold back in 2018. So I just find it, again, a little hard to freaking believe that Erika had no idea the address to this house, didn't know anything about it, never saw it. But Crystal and Kyle could do one simple Google search and bam, found the address to the house. I don't understand. Sutton then brings up that Erika needs to have a good forensics team because this forensics team can find all the money, deep hidden money, offshore bank accounts money. Rena then says, you want to find out where the big money is because you get half of it. I don't really think this is the case here. If they find this big money, that money goes to the victims. Erika's not getting half of that money. It's not her money. It's the victim's money. It's the Lion Air plane crash victims' money. It's the families that went through horrific, tragic events. It's their money. Erika is not entitled to any penny that is found through this forensics team. She's not getting any of it. Sorry. That's just my opinion. Erika's not getting a single dime, a single penny of anything that they find. And the fact that Tom sold this house back in 2018 while all this was going on, and then that article earlier that I did a whole video on says that Erika wants half of that house's money that it sold for. No, that's not how it works. You don't get half of that just because your name was on that house. It doesn't make sense and it just makes me very angry. And I could go on a whole rant about it. Seriously. So now let's get into something a little lighthearted. We do a little around the table game and we found out a really fun fact about Crystal this week. She's a descendant of Confucius. Crystal has the longest family tree in the world. Her dad was born in the same village that Confucius was born in. So Crystal is a 76th generation descendant of Confucius. That is such a cool, interesting little nugget of information about Crystal. Like, that just is really cool. So now it's a new day, and half the crew is going to go shopping, and the other half is going to go hiking. So we're not going to talk about the shopping trip, because not much happened. They went shopping. We get it. we're going to talk about the hiking trip with Erika. So Erika, Garcelle, Crystal all take this hiking trip, and there's a lot to unload, so let's just get into it. Garcelle is asking the questions. The big questions. Garcelle and Sutton, they are not afraid to ask the questions that all of us want answers to. So, Garcelle asks Erika, so your business was your business and his was his. Did you get an allowance? How did that work? Erika replies with, no, I didn't get an allowance. So Erika tells the ladies that she never went to the bank and she never had a debit card. So how did she get money? Just let that marinate for a second. Garcelle asks if they shared everything in terms of houses, finances, etc., etc. Erika replies with, all of that is kept very far away from me. Erika says in her confessional that everything was paid with credit cards and would get cash from Tom because he always had cash on him. If she needed money, she would just ask. Like an allowance? Garcelle then asks, did you know of any of these lawsuits? Were you given a heads up? Is that why you got a divorce? Erika replies, no, I did not. She said that this was a very long time coming, a long battle with someone whose personality has completely changed. So Erika shares this story that kind of made me understand what might be going on with Tom. Note, it was very short-lived that I felt any type of relatability. Erika says that 3 years ago, so that would be 2018, when Tom sold the La Quinta house. Erika says that 3 years ago, Tom had a terrible, terrible head injury, probably from the car crash. She said that there was a significant shift in his personality, his decision-making, and who he was. Erika said that the conversations that she used to have with Tom, the back and forth, were gone. He would constantly forget what they were talking about. She said she would hear the same stories 10 times in a day, and when Erika would say, oh, I remember that story, Tom would rage. Erika says that she took all of Tom's anger, frustrations, all of it. She compared herself as the whipping boy to Tom's frustrations. We're going to continue. Erika says that Tom is still resisting everything to this day. And did y'all catch the, well, from what I'm told?
I tried. He didn't listen. He's resisting everything. Still to this day. Well, from what I'm told.
She had to slip that from what I'm told.
Well, from what I'm told.
Into that real quickly. It kind of made it seem to me like she's still talking to Tom. So I want to share something with all of you. When Erika shared the brain trauma and the head injury and Tom shifting, it made sense in my mind. Because I had a family member that had a very horrific head injury. And it changed who they were as a person, fundamentally. This person used to be very kind, very sweet, very easygoing, laid back. And when they went through that brain trauma, they were not the same. They were angry. They were mean. They were vicious. They were horrible. They were not the same person. So when Erika shared that story, in my mind, I'm like, okay, all right, that makes sense. I see that. I get that. I understand that. When you go through a head injury that traumatic and that horrific and that serious, you change. Because the chemistry in your brain is altered. And you're not the same person. And I got it and I understood it. That's just that on that. But here's my thoughts about all of this. Erika says that Tom has declined and she can't talk to him. He isn't supportive of her. But remember, Erika shared that during quarantine, her and Tom had dinner every night and talked about how nice it was that they got to reconnect and got to know each other again. But yet she's then sharing that she can't have a conversation with him because he just lashes out at her. It doesn't make sense. And then last season, Erika and Tom had an emotional scene together, and Erika cried to Tom about how lucky she is to have him in her life and how supportive he is and has always been of all of her endeavors. But yet she's sharing that he's not supportive at all and is resentful to her success. So what is it? Is it he is so nasty and rude to you? Or is it that he's so supportive and she's so lucky to have him in her life? What is it? Because it can't be both. I'm just having a really hard time wrapping my mind around really any of this. It's not making sense. What's the truth? Is Tom abusive? Unsupportive? So severely sick? Or has he always been supportive of you? What's the truth here? What narrative are you trying to paint? Because you're trying to paint two completely different pictures that make zero sense, and I'm having a hard time understanding it. Erika then shares in her confessional that the lawyers at the firm called Erika crying that they needed to do something about Tom, but yet she said she was never involved in anything that Tom does with his business, and that it's his law firm and she doesn't get involved. So here's where things get really interesting. Erika shares with Garcelle and Crystal that she wishes Tom would turn in his bar card and just stop. She said she has not talked to him and will not talk to him, but she shares that Tom calls her every single day.
Even though he calls me every day.
He does?
He does?
That's another hard part of it.
Oh.
She said she had to ask her attorney to ask his attorney to say, please stop calling Erika. But when she said this, it seems like she has actually talked to Tom.
You know, it's just horrible. I love you, miss you, come home, are you sure? I'm like,
no,
stop, you gotta stop. You have to stop, honey, you need help.
So, we're back at Kyle's house. Kathy brought 5,000 tacos for everyone, and we're sitting around the couch chatting about Erika, and Garcelle shares with all of the ladies that Tom calls Erika every day. Erika snaps.
Well, I do mind you saying that because I feel like you're betraying my friendship right now, but please, have your moment. Go ahead.
Which makes me mad because Garcelle wasn't doing that in a malicious way. Erika completely loses her mind and spirals out of control in an emotional frenzy. So here's the story. When Erika, Garcelle, and Crystal were walking back to the car, Erika shared that story about Tom calling her. However, Erika shared with Crystal that she didn't want to talk about it again. But Garcelle didn't hear that because Garcelle wasn't near them at the time. So that's why Garcelle brought it up. She didn't know that Erika didn't want to talk about it again because Garcelle wasn't there when Erika told Crystal, I don't want to talk about this again. This whole over-the-top acting now is getting old, but I'm also kind of secretly here for it.
And sometimes not everything is up for discussion. Just because someone tells me something about one of you does not mean I'm bringing it up.
Erika says that what Garcelle did was dirty. I don't think it was dirty. So let me ask y'all this. Whose side are you on? Team Garcelle or Team Erika? Comment below. And then Dorit makes it seem like Garcelle intentionally said what she said to hurt Erika. And this is where all of the issues between Dorit and Garcelle start. Right here, y'all. Right here.
I think if someone shares something and says, you know, listen, I don't want to talk about it, or if she gave you an indication.
But you're making it like I did this intentionally, and it's not the truth.
No, I know.
But Sutton, in her confessional, nails it. She said, what was said that was so bad? People just don't react this way unless something else is going on. And then we end the episode with a complete meltdown behind the bathroom door. But y'all, there's stuff that we don't know. Rena posted on Instagram saying, "Dang it, I wish they had shown the screaming fight between the producer and Erika last night on the show in La Quinta. Now that would have been epic TV. Too bad. Bravo, bravo, effing bravo." So an article came out that says Erika and the producers got into a very heated argument about a hot mic situation. So when Erika, Garcelle, and Crystal were in the desert walking back to the car, they didn't know that they were not being filmed, and they didn't know that their mics were on. And that is where all of this started. So during this episode, Erika snapped at her co-star Garcelle because she continued to bring up Erika's admission of Tom regularly calling her. So we're all wondering why. So, sources close to the situation tell 2Fab that Garcelle and Crystal had no idea that their mics were still live as they walked back to the car following the hike. On that walk, Erika revealed that she hadn't spoken with Tom. He continued to call her, leaving messages allegedly saying, "I love you, miss you, come home." Though she supposedly told Crystal privately she didn't want to talk about the calls further, something Crystal said during the episode, Garcelle wasn't privy to that memo and brought up the calls twice. Sources claim Erika then told producers she would give them what they wanted, but on her terms, and while the spat with producers was filmed by production, it was left on the cutting room floor. It's all very interesting. It's all freaking interesting. Erika feels like she was betrayed by production, and they cut and paste it in a way to make it look like Erika was upset with Garcelle, but she was actually upset with production. And they did that so there wasn't a fourth wall breaking moment, because they didn't want to do another Denise Richards moment where she broke the fourth wall. They wanted it to seem natural, so they edited it together to make it seem like Erika was upset with Garcelle, but actually Erika was upset with production. And I read all of these posts saying that they feel like the breakdown isn't actually about Garcelle bringing up the Tom phone calls every day. She was having a panic attack because she suddenly realized that she said too much in front of the cameras, which I have to agree. I think Erika is upset because she's thinking, oh shit, I said way too much. I personally think that Erika talks to Tom every day. That's what I personally believe. I think that Erika does talk to Tom every single day. And she admitted that and didn't realize that it was on camera. And she wants to share the story on her terms, using the narrative paintbrush she wants to use. So next week, it is implied that Erika knew what was going on, and the word Ponzi scheme was brought up, and Sutton says she doesn't even want to be around Erika anymore. So that's all happening next week. There's a lot happening over in the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and it's just gonna get wild. That's all I've got for you guys today. Comment below, let me know what you thought of this week's episode. I'm so glad the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills are back. That's all I've got for you guys today. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.